This answer is twofold. The first one starts with genetics. So there are a lot of people who are learning that they have a single or a double mutation in their methylation panel. I'm not going to say just MTHFR because your methylation panel is so much more than MTHFR, and I wish people would stop listening to one video on that. And your ability to detox is based partly on that methylation panel, partly on your cytochrome P450 genetics, and partly on some other genetics that allow you to convert certain amino acids into enzymes and make them more accessible for your body to clear things that are not good for you out. Your genetic panel is also partially responsible for detox in the fact that you may have a genetic panel that tells you that you're not very good at producing glutathione, and glutathione is like the master antioxidant that goes in and cleans up all the rust in the system. So if you have mutations or gene insertion deletion in this area, because some of those genes are just like they're either there or they aren't, it's either inserted or it's not, you may struggle with detoxification. The other part of needing to detox your liver comes from the environment in which you live. And so if you've grown up somewhere where you're in a large farming community, or you're exposed to a lot of toxins on a daily basis, or you've been in a building where you could end up with, like, there's literally something called building syndrome, or you live in somewhere where they do cloud seeding, you could have more toxins in the system than your body is capable, than your liver is capable of getting rid of. On top of that, the increased use of plastics, particularly heating things up in the microwave in plastics, has created a ton of other toxins being released into the system that become hormone disruptors, and those hormones are all processed out by the liver. So we've seen an increase in things like premenstrual dysphoric syndrome, the PMDD. I forget what that exactly stands for. PCOS. We've seen an increase, significant increase in infertility, and that has to do with the body's inability to either produce thyroid hormone in the thyroid or convert it, and most of the time it's a conversion issue in the liver. And then we've seen a bunch of other things go wrong with hormone disruption, including insulin resistance happening earlier and earlier, even though we used to be able to eat sugar back in the 40s, 50s, 60s without becoming diabetic, and now we can't. While type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disorder, like the immune system, something happened to it. It started attacking the beta cells in the pancreas. You no longer produce insulin, period, which is why they become insulin dependent. So while that is an autoimmune disorder, and we've known that for decades, type 2 diabetes is a metabolic disorder. But the metabolic disorder doesn't necessarily mean that you end up obese. Metabolic disorders also, and they've renamed non-alcoholic fatty liver disease because of this. It's called like metabolic steatic liver or something now. It has a much longer name, but non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is a metabolic disorder. High cholesterol is a metabolic disorder. Um, Non-diabetic neuropathy is a metabolic disorder. Hormone disruption is a metabolic disorder. And while most people think about your thyroid as being the only thing that controls your metabolism, your liver plays a huge role in that. If you missed it, your thyroid hormone that's produced in your thyroid is the inactive form. The active form of your thyroid hormone is converted from T4 to T3 via a few enzymatic processes in the liver. It's also done in the gut and healthy muscle tissue, but primarily it's done in the liver. A lot of people are going to tell you, they're going to come in this comment section and be like, D3 matters too. Yes, it matters. The D3 that you take also gets converted to a hormone that helps support insulin sensitivity in the liver. If you are vitamin D deficient, you will end up insulin resistant. The D3 that you take is not a hormone. The D3 you convert from the sun, not a hormone. It is a precursor to a hormone, but it's not a hormone. So if you're struggling really with conversion in the liver because your liver is not healthy, because your system is too toxic, you need to find a good source of vitamin D2 so that you become more insulin sensitive so that you can control your metabolism. So we need to detox the liver because it literally controls metabolism. The other thing is, when the liver becomes overwhelmed, it will start to look for a place to dilute the toxins that are coming at it in order to produce other life-saving activities, like detoxing the things that could really make you go toxic. So, the easiest place to dilute anything is in a fat cell. So you'll build up excess fat cells and you'll store things in those fat cells that aren't that good. And then those fat cells start creating a very, very toxic type of estrogen that makes the whole hormone panel go crazy and be wrong. This is another reason why we don't want to have processed foods in our diet because those processed foods have chemicals in them that our body was never designed to ingest and handle. And even though the FDA says it's safe, go look at the line of questioning that's happening in Germany right now regarding 2021, 2022, and see what the FDA approved for us as safe that they're saying in Germany absolutely was not safe. And this isn't random, like, oh, you're crazy. This is literally, I do this with people, just this, and they'll drop 7 to 11 pounds in a 2 month time span without changing their diet, without changing their exercise. They also say they have better energy, they have a clearer mind, they have the ability to have normal bathroom habits. They are feeling on top of the world. They have less joint pain. They need less of their daily medications. I had one guy who they were considering putting on a liver transplant list because his liver was so bad. He had jaundice all the time, and nothing he did could get rid of it. We did a liver detox with him. He went back to the doctor. His liver enzymes were within normal range for the first time in 2 decades. His cholesterol was in the like healthiest range they had ever seen it, period. And all of his joint pain went away. This is a legit thing. Like this isn't just like, and I'm not gonna bash people who are doing parasite cleanses. I'm gonna say if you're doing a parasite cleanse before you do a liver cleanse, you're doing it the wrong way because you're releasing things that those parasites might be protecting you from. And nobody wants to hear that, but that's the truth. Because when they look at what happens in like a nuclear spill area, or a chemical spill area, the first thing to come back in the soil is the parasites and the fungi. And those things, when you test them, are really high in those chemicals. And then they just all of a sudden go away and the soil will test clean. The same is true of you. If you have a bad terrain, you can't do a parasite cleanse and expect to have a good terrain all of a sudden. You have to start with detoxing your body from the perspective of the liver.